Steve went over some of the federal business that we have. We made a strategic move a few years back to go after a commercial customer to get past performance to be able to get some of the big contracts like we did with NASA. I'm going to talk to you about our consumer goods product customer. They're not in the business of writing their own applications. They're in the business of making products. So they don't want to write any code. They just use commercial off-the-shelf codes. Very similar to Northrop Grumman, oddly enough. For a lot of the work they do on the rockets, our customer does a lot of the same stuff for diapers. So use cases are physical testing avoidance. They want to do zero physical testing if possible. And then product package and process development. We've managed multiple top 500 systems over the years. We've been fortunate enough to, currently we have 28,000 cores geographically dispersed throughout the globe. And just last week, those were being used at 100%. 600 HPC users in various business units worldwide. So anywhere from computational chemistry to structural mechanics, and a wide variety of users, 24/7 all the way across the globe. This is by far the most technical slide I'll have today, so just be careful. It's 1.6 petabytes of storage. We're not near as large here, but we do 25 gigabytes per second. That's connected to our HPC systems over IB, and we use the Mellanox gateways to do the IB to Ethernet translation. One of the big, huge features that our customer likes is the user quotas. We have a unique portal where the business units actually manage all of the quotas for all the users. Either the global business unit either we do not manage that, they do not manage that. It's all managed by the individual managers and then sent to Panasas over that. CIF support, say what you want about the speed of CIFs, but there's users that like having the little icon on their desktop. That's very important. Panasas did some really good integration with their AD for us. So, repeatability. We're not breaking any new ground here. This pretty much does what every business across the globe does. Takes standards and reduces complexity when possible. So at the top, start from program and project management to configuration management and workload management. Configuration management, it's very difficult to get the same tool across all your customers, but if you want to use the same policies and procedures, that's what we try to strive for. And with workload management, obviously people have Slurm, PBS, LSF, but if you take the policies above, like for example, when we first came to the customer, they had 12 to 13 different queues. The users have no idea what queues to submit to. Should they submit to the medium queue or the small queue? We made one queue, it's a standard queue, simplify it for the users. And then we just try to take those and take them to our other customers. So we want to talk about Panasas, and every single guest that came up here to speak said the same thing. You have one administrator that manages everything. We have the same thing. We have other clients, other environments across the globe, and we manage it with one person. It's super valuable. The total cost of ownership for that is pretty special. This is the same interface for all administrators across multiple customers across the globe. Supportability. So, backup storage administrator, I'm greatly simplifying this. Needs to just know how to put a ticket in. So I used to be a backup storage administrator. To call myself a storage administrator is an insult to all other storage administrators everywhere. So log in, green light good, red light bad, put a ticket in. You laugh, but I'm completely serious. That's really how simple it is. Single file, single button for updates. In a world of cloud, which the cloud never goes down, we're constantly being pushed to have more uptime. The admin uploads one file, pushes the update button, sweats, prays for an hour, then it comes back with no errors, and then it's back up. We have a simple Ansible script that goes in through updates all the clients across the entire environment, and it's back up. That's the first thing we do when we have our downtime, and within 45 minutes to an hour, we're done with Panasas, and everything else in our environment follows from there. The simple GUI, the one pane when you can log in is great, but it's got a very rich CLI. And we also have our experts that, it's kind of funny when sometimes when storage vendors or any other vendors come in with their pretty GUI and they say, this is how great the GUI looks, and then I have an administrator who works for me, he was like, great, can we turn that off? So the CLI that you guys have is nice, and that's pretty much what we work through. Some people may laugh at this, and some people may not see value in it. I definitely do. So we're on a first-name basis with the support and engineering staff. That's important. It's important that Steve can put a ticket in with Linda and talk to them. It's important that Reed can give Dale a call to talk to storage. It's important for me that Alex can call Scott to talk about some complicated networking issues. There's value there. Modular replacement parts. Nick talked about the ability to replace a blade. We sit anywhere from 500 to 4,000 miles away from the hardware that we manage for the customer. We're not there on a daily basis. We're not even there on a yearly basis sometimes. So having those individual parts, spare parts cache in the data center, and to replace that is very valuable for us. Deep dive capability. We had a particular user with a particular software in a particular model that had an issue. Raised a big stink at the company. Panasas stepped up, put a team on it, wrote a white paper, gave it to us and the client with some recommendations on how the software should act and should write. And they didn't have to do that. We gave them no benchmarks before, but they stepped up, gave us that white paper, and gave us some ideas of what the software company can do. Expandability. So it sounds like a trend. We originally bought Panasas for Scratch file system. We put the Scratch file system in place. We had an enterprise NFS file system for both applications and home. Turned out the Panasas was much more reliable than our enterprise NFS system. Some of the data that Steve showed earlier in the first presentation, where 47% of all storage solutions go down once a month, that's the life we lived for a while with our enterprise NFS. When Panasas added snapshots, it made it really nice for when my system administrator or for my application administrator messes up on the applications, he can go back into snapshots. So we moved that over. We also moved over home directories for users. Quotas were huge for us, and so was the CIFS integration. It's now used as a general purpose file system, and some people may cringe when it says general purpose file system, but there's a model repository that the customer uses for it. There's also a software repository that we use for it. When we did this, we had to add shelves for modular growth. It was simple. It was less than a day. We had a new blade set, and now users had their home directories on Panasas. I have this in here also. You guys talked about this earlier. Expansion was customized based on customer needs and budget. The customer came to us, told us what they needed. We went to Panasas. They designed a solution for us. So reliability. So 4 nines of uptime. Sometimes I think people don't realize what 4 nines of uptime is. People just throw it around. It's extremely difficult to maintain 4 nines of uptime. It's only, for a single system, it's only 53 minutes a year. Very difficult to do that. It's 5 minutes a month. So when you have all of that, I want everybody to do me a favor and knock on any type of wood that you can, because this is, I'm going to put this next one up here. So this is like when Adam Vinatieri goes to kick a field goal and Chris Collinsworth said, he's made 112 straight ones, you know he's going to miss the next one. So we've not had a file system outage, an unplanned file system outage in 8 years. It's actually more than 8 years, but our customer right now, our management team that's there, has no idea of what it's like to have a file system offline. which if you saw the stuff from Steve is very rare. And for 8 years, not having the file system offline, the value of that, I'm not quite sure it can be measured. So it's a reliable file system. This is an obvious, but the TCO cost goes well beyond hardware, software, support, and administration. 600 users all the way across the globe that are relying on the system to be up. I don't know how you guys might be able to value when your system goes down, I'm not sure, but 600 people in various business units across the globe. I'll just leave you with this. This next quote, if there are any executives or management team, this quote's going to drive them crazy, but I think there's something to be said here. I think we tend to overvalue the things we can measure and undervalue things we cannot. When Tony was talking earlier about going to procurement process, everybody forgets what happens. Everybody forgets the pain you go through before. When you get a scorecard and you do an RFP and you go look and you give everybody a rating, there's some things you just can't put in there. And so sometimes I think some people should look at things more objectively, or subjectively, sorry. Thank you.